Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon, ma'am.
We had discussed about the different ways of treating a disease in our previous class. Hope you're remembering. We discussed about two methods, two ways of treating a disease. Who is remembering it? Lena, can you tell me which are the two ways of treating a disease? Just the main points. Yes.
Symptom-based treatment,
Symptom-based treatment and
micro-based treatment.
very good. Symptom-based treatment and micro-based treatment. And in symptom-based treatment, the focus is made on reducing the effects of the disease. By taking some medicines, we try to reduce the symptoms and take bed rest to conserve the energy. Whereas the second method in microbe-based treatment, we take antibiotics to kill the microbe that is causing the disease. And that is how we get cured of the disease. Microbe-based treatment will help us to or will make us get cured of the disease. But in symptom-based treatment, the disease will not be cured, but you will be relieved of the symptoms. Okay? So we'll be continuing with the same topic. Okay. Under principles of treatment, I told you this second method. So Lena also told the answer that there are two ways of treating, symptom-based and microbe-based. And in microbe-based treatment, antibiotics are taken to kill the microbes so that we'll be cured of the disease. But antibiotics are not effective against all diseases. For example, if it is caused by a virus, you cannot cure the disease by taking antibiotics. Already we have discussed the reason for the same. Once again, we'll see viruses do not have any biochemical pathways of their own. Hence, antibiotics are ineffective against viruses. Viruses will enter the host cell and make use of the machinery of the host. The biochemical pathways of the host are used by viruses to multiply. As such, they don't have any biochemical pathways of their own. Hence, antibiotics cannot be used to treat viral infections, but antiviral drugs are there which are used to treat the diseases caused by viruses. But to prepare antiviral drugs, it's a very tedious task. It's not that easy to prepare, but still our scientists have succeeded in producing some antiviral drugs to treat viral infections. One example is the drugs that will keep HIV infection under control. HIV, anybody can say what is meant by HIV? Expansion of HIV?
Hyperinflation.
Human immune.
Human
Human immunodeficiency
virus.
very good. Human immunodeficiency virus. Human immunodeficiency virus. It is the virus which causes the dreadful disease AIDS. So far, there is no cure for the disease. We haven't found out any medicines which can completely cure AIDS. But we have some antiviral drugs which can keep it under control without worsening the situation. This HIV infection or AIDS can be kept under control. But so far, no curative medicine or no medicines to completely cure the diseases available. But we could keep this disease under control with the help of antiviral drugs. I'll repeat once again. Antibiotics are effective against bacterial infections, some protozoan and fungal infections, but they are not effective against viral infections. The reason is viruses do not have any biochemical pathways of their own. Instead, they will enter a host cell and use the biochemical pathways or the machinery of the host cell to multiply. And antiviral drugs, they are very difficult to be made. Antiviral drugs, it's not that easy to make these drugs. Still, our scientists have succeeded in preparing a few antiviral drugs. For example, the antiviral drug which keeps HIV infection under control. Any doubt? Any doubt? Shall I proceed to the next one? I'm waiting for your response.
Ma'am,
Yes?
1 minute, ma'am, writing.
Okay, carry on.
And this we take no that day one that biochemical.
Already we had discussed about this.
Yes, ma'am.
In,
Ma'am,
yes. You may note down, or if you are attending the class on mobile, you can take a screenshot also, and later you can copy. Okay, Fizan, shall I proceed?
Okay. I'm screenshot.
You need to take, I'll wait. Just take, quickly you can take.
I'm in laptop today.
Laptop print screen option is there, no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, next, principles of prevention. So we have completed principles of treatment. Principles of treatment we completed, but we have heard the proverb, prevention is better than cure. Once you get the disease, you need to treat it. It is always better to prevent the disease or prevent the infection so that there won't be any need for treatment. Definitely, treatment can be done, but still try to prevent the disease. Prevention is always better than cure. And we say so because treatment has so many limitations. Even if you can provide the best possible treatment, there are several limitations for treatment. Now let us see the different limitations of treatment. Just a minute. First limitation in the treatment of a disease. Once someone has got a disease, their body functions are damaged and may never recover completely. Once a person gets disease, he will be or he can be bedridden, his body functions can get damaged, and in some cases the person may never recover completely. That is the first limitation. I'll repeat once again. Once a person has disease, his body functions can get damaged and may never recover completely. In certain diseases, definitely complete recovery is possible, but there are certain diseases where complete recovery is impossible. Second limitation, treatment will take time. Immediately or within a fraction of a second, you cannot cure the disease. It takes its own time. Depending upon the severity of the disease and the type of disease, the treatment time will differ. It can take time, which means that someone suffering from the disease may get bedridden for some time, even if we can give the best possible treatment. You have admitted the person to the best hospital in the town and best doctors are treating him, but still the treatment process will take some time. Until the treatment is completed and he or she is cured of the disease, the person will have to be in bed. He or she will be bedridden for some time. Okay, so that is one limitation. Third point, the person suffering from an infectious disease can be a source of infection for others. So from this person, the disease can spread to others. See here in the red color, the person who is affected is shown. From him, this can reach other people. Many people can get affected from this person. So these are the 3 limitations in the treatment of a disease. It can be asked, list the 3 limitations in the treatment of a disease. We say prevention is better than cure. What are the limitations in the treatment of a disease? The first limitation, once a person has got a disease, his body functions may get damaged and he or she may never recover completely. Point number 2, treatment will take time and the affected person or the patient will be bedridden for some time, even if you can give the best possible treatment. Point number 3, the person who is affected can be a source of infection for other people. From him, the disease can spread to many other people. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So one by one, you tell me what are the...
1 minute, last one.
Wait, I'll make others say. You can tell the first point,
Yes, ma'am.
Fizan. So what are the different limitations in the treatment of the disease? I'll start with Fizan. Tell me the first limitation, Fizan.
Ma'am, when the person is in bedridden,
Hmm.
they will not recover.
Ah. Once a person
If bedridden, they will not recover.
bedridden, that we can include under second point. First point, once someone has a disease, his body functions will be
Damaged,
damaged and may never
never recover.
completely. Okay. Point number 2, Navaneet. Limitation. Second limitation.
And treatment will take time,
Treatment will take time.
which means that someone suffering for a disease is likely to be bedridden.
He'll be bedridden for some time, even if he can give the best possible treatment. Repeat once again, Navaneet, without referring anywhere.
Treatment will be taken time, which means that someone suffering from a disease is likely to be bedridden if he have best treatment.
Even if we give the best possible treatment. And Lena, tell me the third point, child.
The person suffering from an infectious disease can serve as the source from where the function is
Spreads to other people, from where the infection can spread to other people. Children, all these you don't have to say as I have said or as it is given in the textbook. Ditto, you don't have to say. You can present it in your own words. Here not much scientific terms are included. So you can tell it in your own words. Don't use the same words and sentences. Even if you make some changes in the sentence construction, no problem. Okay? So don't by heart, as I always used to say. Try to present it in your own words, but the meaning should not change.
Okay.
Agreed? Okay. Now we'll move on to the next slide.
And that last point that.
Last point, already Lena said, no, the person suffering from an infectious disease can be a source of infection for others. So from this affected person, the disease can spread to others or other people. Many other people might get the disease from the single person who is affected. And each one getting the disease will become another source of infection.
Finish, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's see how to prevent diseases. Now we understood that prevention is always better than cure. But how to prevent? How can you prevent the diseases? So let's see the different ways of preventing diseases. So that you can categorize into 2. General ways and specific ways. First we will see general ways of prevention. General ways of prevention include preventing exposure, avoiding exposure to infectious microbes. That is what we are doing now. Presently, we are having a virtual classroom. You are sitting at your home and I'm taking class from here. We don't have direct contact. That is how we avoid exposure to infectious microbes. So when you're sitting at home, you're not interacting with others in the class or others in the school. So that much exposure is reduced. So that is what we are doing presently. And you are keeping social distancing. That is also a method of reducing exposure to infectious microbes. So the first method is preventing exposure to infectious microbes. Preventing exposure to infectious microbes. And how do you prevent exposure? If it is an airborne disease, so take the case of an airborne disease, this disease which is spreading through air. So in such cases, you can avoid overcrowded situation where there are too many people, overcrowded situations and all, you can avoid, like bus stand, airports. So wherever, or in the hypermarket where so many people will be there, chances for exposure to microbes can be more. So avoid overcrowded places. Then, if it is a waterborne disease, always try to drink safe, sterilized water, boiled water or sterilized water you should drink. And then, if it is vector, vector-borne diseases like mosquitoes, houseflies, cockroaches, all these can spread different types of diseases. So in order to prevent vector-borne diseases, keep your surroundings clean. So take the case of malaria or chikungunya, these diseases are spread by mosquitoes. So keep your surroundings clean. Never allow water to remain stagnant so that mosquitoes will not multiply and you will not get the disease. Okay, these are some of the general ways of preventing disease. So the topic was how to prevent the diseases. And there are two ways of preventing diseases, general and specific. General ways include avoiding exposure to infectious microbes. Which are the different ways of avoiding exposure? If it is an airborne disease, avoid overcrowded situations. In case of waterborne disease, drink always sterilized water. If it is vector-borne disease, keep your surroundings always clean. Now, another way of preventing, another general method of preventing infection is to maintain public hygiene. Keep not only personal hygiene or not only keeping your house and surroundings clean, but the public places also should be maintained clean. And we also have a role in maintaining the public places clean. You should not throw waste papers or toffee wrappers or chips packet, all these wherever you like. There are definite places, some garbage bins are there only you should drop all that, because each and every individual has got a role in maintaining your surroundings, your surroundings or the towns or the roads, the public places clean and neat. Then another method of preventing infection is taking nutritious food, proper and sufficient nutritious food you should take, because if you take healthy food or a balanced diet, you will get sufficient nutrients. Through food also, you can strengthen your immunity power. Stronger the immunity power, better will be your ability to resist diseases. So we discussed three. Yes, Fizan.
Catch on the point that waterborne diseases that is.
Yes, I will tell you. I'll tell you. Listen carefully. So we were discussing about the different ways, general ways of treating, preventing a disease. And we started with the general ways. And under general ways of treatment, first method was avoiding exposure. And how to avoid exposure? If it is an airborne disease, or in case of airborne diseases, avoid overcrowded situations, keep social distancing. If it is a waterborne disease, always make sure that you drink sterilized or properly boiled water. If it's a vector-borne disease, keep your surroundings clean to protect yourself from these diseases. So that was the first method. Now moving on to the second way, second general method of preventing infection. That is maintaining public hygiene. As I told you, each and everyone has got a role in maintaining your surroundings, public places clean. Public hygiene is also very, very important in preventing infectious diseases. And the third method of preventing infection is to eat healthy, nutritious food. Sufficient amount of healthy, nutritious food you should take, because when you take nutritious food, what happens is your immunity power will become strong. The stronger the immunity power, the better will be your resistance to diseases. Clear, children? The general ways of treating diseases.
Yes,
Ma'am.
Now the next one is specific way. So before I proceed to specific way, I want to know whether you have understood the general ways of treatment. Rohan, tell me one general way to prevent infection. 3 points we mentioned. 1 point you can say. How many times I repeated, Rohan? Why some of your videos are off? Raya, can you tell me 1 point? Let me see the smart kids in the class. Yes, Raya. 3 methods I told. 3 general ways of preventing infection. And the first one we dealt in detail. Yes?
Public hygiene.
Maintaining public hygiene. Good. Next point. Eva. Eva George.
Ma'am,
Yes.
available proper and sufficient.
Louder.
Availability of proper and sufficient
Taking.
drinking water and
Taking.
taking sufficient and
Sufficient amount of
nutrition foods.
nutritious food. So what will happen, Eva, if you take nutritious food? What will be strengthened? Health, or your immunity power will strengthen, so you can resist diseases. Now the first point nobody said. Which is the first point?
And waterborne diseases.
No, how do you say it in general? 3 subdivisions are there, but what is the general point you can say? Common for all those 3 sub-points what we discussed. Avoiding what?
Overcrowded.
Area.
Avoiding overcrowded situations, or else you can say avoiding exposure. Avoiding exposure to infectious microbes. Now, the next question is, how can you avoid exposure to infectious microbes? As Lena said, if it is an airborne disease, you can avoid overcrowded situations. And how to avoid waterborne diseases, Navaneet?
To drink safe drinking water.
Safe or sterilized drinking water should be consumed. Then, how to avoid vector-borne diseases, Agna? Vector-borne diseases, how to avoid?
Hygiene.
Hygiene. Just that word is enough. Keeping your, yes. Fizan, just say it loudly. What you said is correct. Your message be the answer, but you say it loudly.
And clean environment.
Very good. Maintaining a clean environment. What was that, Agna? What did he say? Agna Ando.
And then clean and
Maintaining a clean environment can prevent vector-borne diseases. You know that in case of diseases spread by mosquitoes, how to prevent the multiplication of these mosquitoes. Where do mosquitoes lay eggs? Where do they lay eggs?
Ma'am, in the water.
Not in flowing or running water, but in stagnant water, still water, they will lay eggs. So never allow water to get collected anywhere. And whether it is broken tires or bottle caps or flower vases, everything should be discarded. And keep your surroundings always clean so that you can be safe from, or you can be safe of these, or all these vector-borne diseases can be prevented, and you will be safe and secure. Okay, clear? Any doubt? Now we are moving on to the specific ways of treatment, specific ways of preventing disease. So general ways of preventing disease we discussed. I'll summarize that points once again. The first point was avoiding exposure to infectious microbes, maintaining public hygiene, consuming healthy, nutritious food. Now the next one is specific ways of preventing infection. So let's see how that can be carried out.
Ma'am, can you repeat that availability of proper and sufficient? I was writing that.
Repeat once again.
Availability of proper and sufficient.
We should consume, like in order to prevent the diseases, we should consume sufficient amount of nutritious food. When you take healthy, nutritious food in sufficient amount, your immunity power will be strengthened.
And
And
we should consume.
once your immunity power becomes better, your body will be able to resist diseases. Yes, Fizan?
And that point we should
Consume
consume
sufficient amount of
sufficient amount of
nutritious food.
nutritious.
This will help in strengthening your immunity power so that we can resist infections.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Now next is the specific way or specific ways of preventing infection. Immunization. Have you heard about immunization? We all have got, or we all have taken vaccination.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone who having taken vaccination so far at different, like once after you are born or after your mother's delivery, when the child and the mothers they are discharged from the hospital, you get a health chart, and there they will be if you ask your mother, she will show you the chart. I think all will be having this health card there. The different vaccination and the age at which it has to be administered will be mentioned, and as and when you take the vaccination, you will be showing it to the clinic or hospital. They'll mark or they'll initial or mark the date when you have taken these vaccinations, because taking all these vaccinations are very important in order to provide immunity from all those, to provide immunity and resist all those infectious diseases. So here the specific way is to provide immunization or vaccination. So vaccination means injecting vaccine. Immunization is also the same thing. When immunization means injecting vaccine into your body so that you will be able to resist these diseases. And what is vaccine? What do these vaccines contain? Can anybody tell me? Suppose you take the case of polio vaccine. What do polio vaccine contain?
And there the polio.
Polio vaccine will have
virus.
virus. Which virus? So what you said is correct. Tell me, polio vaccine will contain which virus? Who
Polio.
told that answer? Huh? Who
Isha.
told me the answer? Isha. Yes, tell me, Isha. Which virus is present in polio vaccine? Polio vaccine will contain poliovirus. So why this poliovirus, if it is injected into your body, it won't cause disease, it won't cause polio.
It will make our immune active.
But what form of this poliovirus is injected? Either it will be dead or weakened. Weak virus or dead viruses will be injected. So vaccine actually contain dead or weak disease causing organisms, and these will be injected in your body. It's actually a method of, or a way of fooling your immune system. Your immune system will think that a foreign particle has entered our body, and they'll start producing certain substances known as antibodies to fight against these disease causing organisms. So antibodies will be released in response to these dead or weakened disease causing germs. So being dead or weak, they cannot cause infection. That polio vaccine containing weak or dead polio virus cannot cause disease, but it will stimulate your immune system to release antibodies for fighting the infection. And these antibodies will remain in your blood. And next time, when the real villain enters, when the strong virus enters your body, already we are prepared with the antibodies. So your body will be able to attack these viruses with much more vigor, much more strength. So you can defeat them very easily or quickly. So that is the principle behind immunization. Yes?
And when we take that vaccine, then sometimes we'll get fever and all that. We will take it.
That is because, Fizan, after taking vaccination, even doctors will say that the child might develop fever. You have to take some paracetamol syrup with you. You might have heard a doctor saying that. It's because your immune system is working. So as soon as something enters your body, you might develop fever. So that is an indication that your body's immune system is working effectively. So that rise in temperature, we have already learned about inflammation. Hope you are remembering about inflammation. When any foreign particle enters your body, your immune system will be responding against it and produce local and general effects. Hope you are remembering what we discussed earlier. General effects like fever, local effects such as swelling or pain. Hope you are remembering it. Okay, so immunization, when in case of immunization also, we are injecting some foreign particles into your body, and in response to that, your body's immune system will produce antibodies. But being inactive or dead, those viruses or those microbes cannot cause infection. That contents of vaccine cannot cause infection, but antibodies will be produced and they will remain in your body, remain in the blood. And next time, when the real ones, means live or active ones enters your body can easily defeat them because your body is already prepared to deal with the situation. Okay, so the same point, that is about immunization, we'll be discussing next class. It's already time. So the specific way of treating a disease we'll discuss once again next class. Okay, children?
Okay, ma'am.
So we'll wind up. See you next class.